And how about that intro? Thank you to Josh Link, the mindful vet. Man, he really killed it with that song and that MP intro we got going on there. Very excited to have that stuff working this morning. No technical difficulties today, so I'm incredibly grateful for that. What a weekend we had, guys. I one technical difficulty. I forgot to mute the playback, so I just got screamed in my ears. All right, so what an incredible weekend we had, right? Eldora with the Dream and Carson Brown Motorsports, ARCA at Michigan with Ryan Roulette. We had Darcy Archer and her Mustang group had a couple car shows down in Myrtle. We had the Craig Stout Jeebus Poker Run down in Athens. We had the GBS Corporation golf outing this weekend. We had people everywhere, and I gotta tell you, it's incredible. It's incredible. Joe Newell is waiting online to talk to us about his experiences right now. He is the where did it go? Well, I had it and now I don't have it. He was at our hike and he carries a log in remembrance, and he's hitting me up right now, trying to get in here. So let's go ahead and go straight to. Uh-oh. All righty. Yep. Wrong stream. All right. So Albert is out handling some veteran compensation claims down in Myrtle Beach. So he might join us. Big thanks to the Hutton House down there for giving our guys the assistance that they need. We're going to go ahead and jump right into Joe. I'm going to bring him in here right now. Joe, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, man? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. Thanks for doing this morning. I had your bio pulled up and then I lost it, and now we're going to go back to it. All right. So
Yeah,
I'm trying to run all this stuff. Yeah. It's the joys of doing things solo and live. It is just the way it goes.
Right.
You think you have it all settled and you don't. So we're going to throw on the glasses here, and I'm going to do a quick little intro for Joe. Joe enlisted in the Army in February of 2015, a few months before he turned 18 and a few months prior to graduation. He went to Fort Leonard Wood for basic training in AIT. He got orders to Fort Stewart, where he'd spend his first contract from 16 to 19. At the end of 19, he went to Drum in New York, and he would spend 19 to 22, including one tour in Afghanistan in 2020. Spent the last year and a half in the Army out in Montana for honorable discharge in December of 23. Moved back to upstate New York to work on a dairy farm. After 5 months on the farm, he decided to pack up his dog and come home to Ohio, where he's doing the building trades, and he's a apprentice plumber and pipe fitter with Local 94. So, Joe, thanks, buddy. Really appreciate you doing this, man.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me on.
No, absolutely. Everybody said at the hike, a couple guys, Tom and Albert and everybody was like, you got to talk to this guy with the log. You got to talk to this guy with the log. So, at the hike, it was a little hectic. We didn't get a whole long time to talk about it, but what can you tell me drew you to the Safe 22 hike? How did you first hear about that, and what made you want to come and share your experiences at the hike?
Yeah, I just remember seeing about it, hearing about it every time I'd come home on leave during my time in the service, and I never really knew Tom or anybody with Save 22 until I think him and I just hit each other up on Facebook, just kind of like a check-in thing once. I kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about it, and it just seemed right up my alley for something I feel like I would have fit in pretty nicely with, and that's kind of what it came down to. This year was the first hike I was able to participate in. I think last year when I had moved home, the hike had already taken place. And it was just kind of moving home right in the middle of the chaos of transition into a new job and trying to get settled back in here in Ohio. But yeah, I had a good time this year. It was really humbling. I actually had a kind of a funny story about the hike.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so my cousin Bobby Lynn and her boyfriend and my buddy Dustin and us four, we all walked together, we hiked together, and when you were talking about that little shout out that Tom gave me before the hike, talk about me and talk about the log and encouraging people to come up and talk to us, and um, it was fun. And then I think about halfway through the hike, I probably had told this story from start to finish about 20 times at that point to a bunch of different people. And I
Right.
remember I look over at Dust and I was like, I love this, but it would have been so cool if Tom would have just said, Joe, come up here and tell the story real quick. I was just laughing about it because, all jokes aside, like it was super humbling, the amount of people that
Sure.
wanted to come talk to me. And,
Right.
I'll tell this story a million times over until the day I die. So,
Right.
um, it was really cool though. It was cool, but it was kind of funny at the same time because I was like, halfway through the hike and I'm winded, from trying to walk and carry a log and talk about the log and um,
It was your first experience, though, right? It was your first experience at the hike with the log and having that many people around, right? There were over
yeah.
500 people registered for that hike, even with the 50-degree weather and the rain and the mist and the
Oh
cold and
yeah.
everything. And
There were a bunch of troopers out there. It
oh,
was
it was
but
incredible, man.
yeah, I mean, you can't expect anything less from the veteran and first responder community. All of us will have that on our gravestones when we die, that if it wasn't raining, we weren't going to be training. So,
Right, right, right. It ain't fun when the sun.
yeah,
So I don't know. I just came up with that one just now, so it sounded
yeah.
pretty good. But so tell me about the log. Why the log?
So, to talk about Hector, I got to dive into a little bit about, a little of the backstory with
Well, let's.
our,
Yeah,
yeah.
please, please.
Um, so the log originally belonged to a good friend of mine who passed in 2017. Our buddy Tito, Augusto Pinheiro was his, first last name. Everybody knew him as Tito, knew him as Hulk, knew him as Unbreakable. He was a remarkable human being, man. And I remember how intimidating just his presence was. Like the first time I met him, he's a sergeant first class, and I'm an itty bitty, private, fresh to Fort Stewart. And he approaches me like the first encounter I have with him. He just kind of looks at me, like, and just like he's a big dude, man. He was a big dude, and he just like walks right up to me and just stares at me, and I'm just sitting there like, oh boy, well, I didn't know what I did if I
I
did
don't know
something
what to
wrong. And
do.
yeah, and he just starts laughing at me and like hysterically laughing in my face. I was like, this dude's a psycho. And he was like, we need to get some meat on your bones there, little boy. And then he walked away. So it was like ever since then, like, it built a good connection. So Tito pushed all of us to the absolute extreme limits, man. Like there was, you know, from Monday morning, 5, 6, 7 mile gas mask runs at Tito's pace. And whenever we would run, Tito always had Hector. So, which is Hector the log. He found the log on his own while he was out running. It was a log laying in the woods that he just picked up, threw on his shoulders, and brought it home and made it into what it is. And um, so there was just so many memories of him waking a few buddies of mine up and myself on the weekends, like at 4 in the morning, pounding on our doors on a freaking Saturday, just to take us out and run with him with the log. And I mean, yeah, he was just remarkable. And then a month before he died, a bunch of us were over at his house. He had a bunch of us over at his house. It was for the Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor boxing
Oh
fight.
yeah, yeah.
So we were all at his house, and a few of us, a couple close buddies of mine and I that were probably the closest with Tito, like amongst that crew there, we all had a little bit of liquid courage in us and decided to kidnap Sir Hector out of Tito's garage and take him home with us. And, Tito, he was a diehard Cowboys fan, man. So like we get home and,
Oh,
my
I'm
buddy,
sorry.
yeah, my buddy Mike was a big Panthers fan. My buddy Austin was a diehard Vikings fan. I'm a big Browns fan. So we all like start
Oh,
throwing our favorite team's gear all over the log, and then we send a picture to Tito. And oh my gosh, dude, he probably lived 15 minutes from the house we were at, and he was there in less than 10. And it was a good feel good story, And then the day he died, which would have been October 9th of 2017. The I saw him that morning. Yeah, a bunch of us were getting ready to fly out to Fort Irwin, California for a month of training, and my buddies Austin and Mike, they stayed back. They weren't going. It was just me out of our little crew there that was going out for the month, and I'll never forget it, man. I mean, Tito was there helping us load bags onto the buses. Um, and to get down to Hunter Army Airfield so we could catch our flight. And you know, we do that, and he comes up to me, gives me a shake, pulls me in for a hug, he's like, "I'll see you in a month, brother." And then like, heck yeah, man, see you when I get back. And that was it. We get out to Fort Irwin, and they kind of pulled us outside the tent later in the evening and had told us he was struck by a car and killed riding his bicycle um, about 20-30 minutes after he had helped us load our bags onto the bus. And none of us knew until the end
wow.
of the day. And I just remember because, a bunch of the guys kind of like, we're all just, you could have heard a pin drop from our crew.
Sure.
And, some of the guys started like making their way over towards me and pulling me in for a hug and everything. And I'm just like, no, like, what do you, I'm going to pull my phone out and call this dude right now. Like, don't joke about this.
Right.
And, I was in just pure denial. I was losing it.
Right.
You know, but, that's kind of the backstory of Tito and how Hector came to me was, his wife Nina, she had decided that the log should stay with myself, Austin, and Mike, the three that us three ran with Tito, the most out of we did so much together,
Sure.
and there were so many people that wanted the log just to have it, and for us three to be the ones that so it was kind of funny and an honor at the same time, but it was funny because like us three would literally pass the log around like every other weekend. It was almost like sharing custody of Sir Hector, but we felt responsible for the protection of the log, and we continued to run with it. We would do half marathons, we did full marathons carrying the log. We did gas mask runs. Um, we us three were still specialists, and we helped our battalion commander and sergeant major plan out a memorial run in his name. So it was we turned it into a battalion gas mask run, and it
That's
was
pretty
a
cool, man.
so we would lead the charge. You get three fours up there with sergeant major and colonel leading the charge. They're carrying the battalion colors, and we're carrying the log, passing them back and forth. And it was really cool, like how much motivation and morale that three specialists were able to bring to an entire battalion. Like
Yeah.
us three put so much on our shoulders while we were all together. And especially like after Tito passed, I think us three all felt responsible to, pick everybody else up. Like, we got to keep going. And
Yeah.
we're gonna, his memory, just thinking about how this year's going to be 8 years since he's passed, and how his legacy still lives on with so
Still
many of
going.
us.
Yeah.
He was just one of those people that's like, legends never really die. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a phenomenal story. I'm sorry you had to go through that, right? That's a horrible end, right? You just see him and 30 minutes later he's gone. Nothing you
yeah,
can do, and you're deployed,
yeah,
essentially deployed, right? You're away from home station. You guys probably weren't allowed to come back.
no,
You had to hold your old memorial, your own memorial. Um, that story took me right back
yeah,
to a situation that I had as well, where we had to hold our old memorial away for a guy. And you you've really done a great job growing, processing, taking it on, right, and moving it forward, paying it back. You took the memory of a guy who really inspired you and a couple others, and you took it upon yourself to keep going, right? And that's what Save 22 is about, dude. And that's when we have those conversations with guys, and it's a challenge, right? It's a challenge to keep going, right? It's very easy to stop. It's very easy to forget. It's very easy to stop and just, I'm not going to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
But I commend you because you took something that was a tragedy, no doubt, a tragedy, and you turned it into a positive. You brought those things to the forefront. You're up in front of the entire unit, and you kind of carry them with you, and you're still carrying them with you 8 years later. And
Yep.
I think that's phenomenal. And your ability to share the story, thank you very much. Thank you very
I
much. And
think
I'm sure the people out here thank you too. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think the only thing we're trying to figure out now with Hector is out of us three, our buddy Austin, he's the only one left in the Army. He's a senior drill sergeant out at Fort Leonard Wood now,
No
and
kidding.
so him and I flew out and got to see him back. That is my boy, dude. I love that dude to death, man. Him and I were stationed in Georgia together. We were roommates there. We were stationed in New York together. So we spent a good 5-6 years of excuse me, of my time in the service. Was spent with him. And
Wow.
but we talked when I went out to visit him and his wife and his son. I We're trying to figure out, an exchange, to take Hector. I'm thinking of driving Hector back out to him, keep Hector in the Army. But we're also trying to figure out just, where do we see Hector kind of inspiring the most at, it's because yeah, you could keep him in the Army and tell that story and share the story of Tito, share his legacy and keep it going.
Sure.
Or you could like it's Hector's more than just a log. I think we look at him like it's really a symbol. I think he's more like a symbol of hope for me. It's a symbol of hope. It's a symbol of never giving up. Don't never quit.
Don't
Um,
quit.
and pick your brothers and sisters up.
Right. Right. I love it.
So
I love it. Can you tell me what some of those markings are on there? You got a couple stickers and plaques on there and stuff. Can you
yeah,
tell me
man.
what some of those
So
mean?
these are some of Tito's buddies. I don't. It's hard to get a good zoom in on here,
Sure.
but these are all pictures of buddies of Tito's when he first made the log, and they're guys that had taken their own lives. They got the never forget. It's hard to see, but never forget up top, and then Tito's picture I added to the bottom. So this one down here is Tito's picture,
Oh,
and
that's great.
then on the back side we painted Unbreakable on it, which was his call sign on the radio. That's what they knew
Wow.
him. That's what they knew him as with Operate. I don't know if you've heard of Operation Enduring Warrior
Hmm.
(OEW). He was a big voice, big advocate in that and with that organization. And then you got Sir Hector right on top with the captain rank.
Ah, look at that. That's
So,
awesome, man. That's awesome.
yep. So that's all the markings. Yeah. Sorry, the pictures probably can't really make them out too well from there. Um,
Nah,
but
I think
yeah,
it's
no,
great.
yeah, it's really it's a good way. I think it's just I don't know, it feels like every time I carry that log for a run or a hike or anything, it just
Yeah,
it's like carrying the weight of a lot of good buddies that aren't with us anymore. Carrying all of them with
absolutely.
us. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can I ask, are you able to put that weight down of carrying all that, right? Are you aware of your own self and your own mental health that, you and I didn't talk a whole lot, but you said you did have a story, and, a lot of us carry that survival guilt, right? Like, why him?
yeah,
Why not me? Why am I still here? Um, you're still sharing the story. You're talking with other vets. You're putting it out there. Do you still struggle with the survivor's guilt, or any PTS? You willing to
yeah,
talk
man.
about any of that?
I think it's all struggles that we find ways to try to cope with and keep moving forward. But it's at the end of the day, there's struggles that realistically they're never going to leave.
No.
That weight and the pain of not only Tito, man, just so many buddies that took their own lives or died from car accidents, from drug overdoses,
Right.
because, um, just anything, training accidents overseas, anything you could think of, man. There been a lot of death, and
Yeah.
I'm not even 30 years old yet, and
Yeah.
there's just the heavy. There's been that heavy burden of, just I don't even know how to properly word it other than I miss them guys terribly,
I
but
do. Yeah.
at the same time, I also know what I want with my life, like I'd love to be a husband and father someday, I want to have a successful career that wasn't in the military. Um, but yeah, those burdens are very much still there. They're, and there's different ways I deal with them. And a lot of that is, you know, I think the biggest motivator in my life is by far is my dog,
Yes.
he's,
We talked about him.
yeah, man, he is an absolute gem. So he's actually finishing up his last 10 days of training. He's in a 6-week boarding school. I got to bring him home this past weekend for a little test run, and I mean, he did phenomenal. It was incredible, and it was so worth, saving the money up for all of that. And I mean, he's just a sweet boy, and I can't wait to have him back full time, man. It's been kind of like it's been a long 6 weeks without him. So
It's like an empty nest, man. It's an empty
yeah,
house, right? You got your buddy and he's not there no more. But you know what? Kudos to you for being able to go do that. I think it's a good step, right? You got a trained dog, a dog that you know that will listen, right? And you can keep your keep your buddy with you,
yeah,
right? You know what I mean?
yep. He's the
As
big
it
motivator, man, and we got a lot of property. The family still has a good chunk of land out here in the Carrollton area that I can take him out to, and that's kind of where I find my peace too. Even if I need to leave him at the house for a few minutes and just go out and clear my mind, take a 4-wheeler ride out there, just go walk the woods, go go get my spots, scoped out for hunting season, and it's just I think my biggest message to everybody that can't figure out, how to kind of get over these bumps in the road. It's, find something that you're passionate about and roll with it,
yeah, right.
something, find peace within yourself, get out into nature. I think that's the best medicine I've ever taken was just going out into nature, man. And, listening, you just feeling the breeze, man, walking through the woods, just enjoying the beauty of it and the calmness of it. And, um, yeah, so
Realizing that everything's okay.
yeah,
Everything's
everything's
okay.
everything's gonna be okay. It might not seem like it, but it's going to be fine.
It will.
You know, you just pick up that phone and call somebody, message somebody, like,
Anything,
yeah,
anything. Just
if
say, I don't know what's happening, but I don't feel right now. Right.
yeah,
I don't know what it is. And let's talk about it. Right. And let's work
yep,
it out. A lot of the times, Albert and I call that a 3 a.m. friend. Right.
hmm,
That's that guy that no matter what's going on, if I send you a text that says 911, I'm freaking out, you're going to answer that phone no matter where you're at. And
hmm,
we have those guys, and I've called on them a couple times. I've had a flashback in the most inopportune moment. Just I'm sitting in the hot tub watching Maverick, and the next thing I know, I'm back in this. We used to call them Jat wishes, just another third world Islamic
yeah,
shithole. But anyway, I'm over in that Jat wish, and I feel the sand, and I feel the heat, and the jet vibrating, and I see all the engines, and I was right back in that moment again, and I didn't know what was happening. I
yeah,
kind of flipped out. Trish, my wife, had said something, and I blew up on her. Like, you don't have a fucking clue, right? And
yeah,
I hope
yeah,
you
man,
never do. And
right,
horrible. I mean, it was bad.
hmm,
She didn't deserve it, number one, right? Um,
yeah,
and I didn't know what was happening to be able to adjust for it, right? And when I called those guys, it was down the line, right? It was one didn't answer, two didn't answer, three didn't answer, four didn't answer, five answered. Okay, he doesn't know what to say. He just said, keep talking. keep talking. I don't know what else to tell you right now. I've never had this before, but keep talking. And eventually, number one called back, and you get on the phone with them, and you're like, dude, this is what's happening. And he's like, okay, all right, this is happening, and this is why. Right? All right, let's bring it back. Where are you? Well, I'm naked in my basement. I just got out of the hot tub and I'm freezing. But you're in the house? Yeah. Okay, so you're safe. Well, what? You're you're safe. You're at home. Oh yeah. Yeah, I am at home. Yeah. Okay. Right? Like you got to have that ability, that tool, that tip, that whatever, that buddy to just remind you that whatever you think is going on is not what's truly happening.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of us just need that buddy to say, okay, man, I'm right here with you. Like I've been there. It's okay. It's only going to be a minute. Right. Let's just talk through it. Just talk through it. Because what you think you're seeing is not the reality, right? What you think you're going through is not the true reality, right? You're making it 100 times worse than it actually was.
Yeah.
You just didn't know how to process it, and now you figured out a way to process it, and it's coming through all at once, and you just need that ability to do it. And sometimes just being quiet, right? Just listening to the squirrel, right? Don't let your brain go to that crazy spot. Just watch the squirrel, right?
Yeah.
Check out the chipmunk coming down, right? Watch what they're doing. Focus on that for a little bit and just realize that you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're okay.
Yeah, man. I love that, dude. I think, there's so many motivators I can think
Right.
of continuing to, because I still, I see counseling to this day, man. I go,
Me too, bro.
monthly.
Me too.
I go monthly, and it's another avenue I really encourage, man. There's no weakness in getting help. That's nothing but strength right there,
I used to think that was weakness, right? Like you couldn't figure it out until I had this last counselor, and Jessica has just been amazing to offer a perspective change more so than a emotional support, right? Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like she just flat out asked the right question. What you got going on that's bothering you? Well, it's this. Are you sure it's that? Or is it maybe this? Right. And you walk through it and you walk your way through the whole thing. It's just it's a perspective change. It's not a hey man, I can't handle this. It's a hey, I don't understand what's happening. Please educate me. Help me understand myself better so that I don't act like this because I don't want to be like this.
Yeah.
That's how I look at the counseling nowadays, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen, like my past of my triggers too of going off at the wrong place at the wrong time, man.
Right.
Like there's so many people in my life that have just been there for me, they've really been there for me. Um and like my mom, my dad, my sisters, they've all unfortunately had to see those meltdowns, before. And it's, my little cousins, aunts and uncles, they've seen it, and I've had good buddies see it, and it's like, I'd always feel embarrassed afterwards, and I'd be like, I need to get this under control and fixed, because there's, it happens, trauma affects everybody differently. And,
yeah.
And looking back on, there's ways to cope with things, and there's ways not to cope with things. And ways not to cope with things is falling into the heavy drugs and drinking, like I did there for a good while. It's
and push it down.
It's it was, yeah, sure, I'm fine, and then I'm turning around, putting 2 grams of cocaine up my nose, and then drinking myself to sleep. So there's it's the things that my family and friends it took good talks with people being there for me, and it also took having those couple good buddies that were like, you need to get your shit together.
Yeah, the real talk. The
The
real
real
talk.
talk. Don't tell me what I
Yeah,
need. Don't tell me what I need to hear. You know, tell me what or don't tell me what I want to hear. Tell me what I need to
right,
hear. You know,
right.
and lucky for me, I do have those few buddies, man, that are they are just rock solid dudes. A couple of them here in Carrollton where I live, and a couple Army buddies that I can call, and they're just like, you got to get it together. And
That's awesome.
and they do that with me because they would expect me to do the same for them if they were in that position. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I want you to be honest with me, man. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't kiss my ass. Don't just
yeah,
go along to get along. Like if I'm effing up, man, I'm effing up. I did it
yeah.
this morning, right? I did it this morning with guys that have been there for 10 years. I read a
Hmm.
text and I'm like, F you, dude. I'm not, no, bullshit. Right. And then it comes back and they're like, all right, I might have effed up a little bit, but you know what?
Yeah,
I got other things going on right now. I can't talk about that right now. I got to focus on this. I'll call you later. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, it, a lot of it is us, the embarrassment that we allowed that to happen, right? That's,
Hmm.
we think we're better than that. And we should not have acted like that. And some of us don't know how to say, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
and mean it.
It's
Right.
one of the yeah, it's one of the hardest things to really say. And God knows I've been in the wrong a lot, you know.
Right.
And where I'm at now compared to, just a few years ago is, I'm big on accountability, and I think accountability shows maturity, it shows growth, it shows you got the human factor in you. Like, yeah, you
It's a human experience, man. We're
yeah.
learning every day.
No,
Every day.
I think sometimes taking accountability is more important than an apology because, I look at some of the things, some of the screw ups I've had, and it's,
Hmm.
I knew it was wrong. So does saying sorry fix anything?
Nope.
No. But me raising my hand and saying, yeah, I was definitely in the wrong. Like, you all had every right to react the way you did or get upset about how things were. Um, but I was still in the wrong. Am I sorry? Yes, to my like I am sorry, but does that is that just slapping
No.
a bandage on an open wound? No,
Hmm.
you gotta take strides. You got to make yourself better, and and that's what I
Accountability, man.
yeah,
Accountability.
and that's what I strive for, man. I just if I can go through a day and put a smile on a bunch of people's faces, make them laugh, then I had a good day.
Yeah.
Even if in my head I'm not all the way there, that's another way I cope, man. I love making people smile, making people laugh, telling good stories, telling good jokes. I've done a pretty good job at it, I some of the crews I've worked with out of the local, man. I've had some of them boys rolling in the trailer during break time, just joking with everybody because it's like, hey,
Well,
work is work, but at the same time, life's short, man. So have a good laugh
yeah.
every now and then, lighten up a little
Yeah.
bit,
I
and
I I had to learn to lighten up and laugh at myself, right? I
yeah,
was I was
I do that a lot.
very critical of myself and the way that I talk to myself. I would never talk to anybody else like that, dude. You know what I mean? And
Oh, I know. Yeah,
oh,
that's why it's really hard to get under my skin anymore because there's nothing that you could say to me that I haven't said to myself, right in front of a mirror. Um, and that's just kind of that's how I roll, man. So many of the guys I've worked with too, we joke all the, I'll always give them a good laugh at work too because I'm still an apprentice. So,
right.
I'm learning a new trade that I'm not as familiar with, and sometimes I know the answer and it's like right there in front of me, but I still ask the question anyways, and they'll just kind of give me that side eye, like, did you really just ask? Like, you're literally doing it. You're doing it exactly what needs to be done, and
Right.
you're still asking. I
Yep.
was like, and then I'll just be like, you know what? Sometimes I just talk out loud, man. Like,
Yeah. I'm just
this is just
confirming for myself that I know that I'm doing this right.
yeah.
I just want somebody else to verify that I know I'm right. Just somebody else tell me.
But then, there's times I'll get a simple, like they'll give me something simple to do, and oh man, they could really see the gears are turning, and I'm overthinking it, and they're just, and
Right. Right.
one of the favorite guys I've got to work around this year in the trade, he just journeyed out. He was a fifth year apprentice most of the time I was working with him, but he would just stand at the bottom of the ladder, like for the few times we got paired together, and he would just stand there smiling, watching me overthink. And I'd reach down like I was about, or lean down like I was going to ask him a question. He'd be like, "No." He was like, "You're going to stand up there and you're going to suffer and you're going to figure it out. And when I'm done laughing, then I'll answer your question." So he's a good dude for that, man. I respect that because I was kind of the same way with my privates, man. When I was a team leader, a squad leader, and the little bit of time I spent as a platoon sergeant as well, like some of it, um, some of it was so common sense to me, but not to them. Like it's a new
Right.
world
They
for
haven't been
everybody.
there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, let's just think it through, take some time and think it through. Like, and now sometimes, yeah, you got to pull them. Most of the time, you need to pull them to the side and teach them. But I always love challenging like my soldiers.
Sure.
Like, hey, get the gears turning. Think on it. Think first. And when you're and let's talk about it, man. Like, what are you thinking? What's going through your head on how to do this? And if you're absolutely clueless, then I'm gonna show you step by step. And
It's funny that you say that because that is how we do things in the military. There is a step-by-step process for everything that you do.
man.
And we are very capable of following that process, right? But when we get out, we forget that we also have a process. There's something that we ourselves need to do to keep ourselves going. Why did we thrive? Why did we enjoy the military? Why did we not want to get out, right? Why were we successful in there? Because we appreciated the accountability factor. We have appreciated the timetables, right? You will get it done. There's no excuses. We appreciated all that stuff. And when you come out, the civilian world don't have that kind of accountability. Their deadlines are way, way longer and there's no pressure, it seems. And people are moving at a much slower rate than we would.
The change of pace really threw me off.
It's hard, man. It's hard.
Oh yeah. That's like something to like any of my buddies that are still in that, they might give this a listen later on too, is give yourself some time. Just be patient. And that's like they talk about, the VA, when I started the claims process, they were telling me about all these things they see like out of soldiers, like when they first get out, just like for instance, like a lot of us have very, very low like vitamin D in us. And there's a lot of things that are off, blood level wise or just health wise, whatever. That now they're it's easy to fix, but but I think the one thing that the VA doesn't talk about much is how much patience we lack when we first get out. And I'm guilty of that too, because I wanted so badly to just get into the civilian world and be smooth sailing, and that's just not the case at all. Like
it's not.
It's been a year and a half for me, and I still have plenty of buddies that have been out way longer that are, they're still struggling. I still struggle too. It's normal. It's normal.
It is. I've been out 10 years. September, actually, I think August will be my 10-year anniversary for the Finney flight, and then September 11th will be 10 years that I've been retired. And just recently, like within the last 2 years, I think my attitude changed, right? And my perspective, and it's changing even for the better in the last 6 months. It's getting better. I can remember just not listening to how to, right? Does that make sense? Like I had to find out the answer for myself. I wouldn't listen to people, and it didn't work, bro. It didn't work. I got pretty jacked. I was taking all kinds of drugs from the VA and this and that, and man, it was just messing me up. And I was listening to the wrong people, I guess, right? Or listening to the wrong things. And the bottom line for me was not listening, and being willing to listen to what people were saying I was doing that was causing the problems. And that is a kick in the balls. right?
Yeah,
It's
I
all
think,
you, bro. It's all you. You're the
yeah.
one that's having these reactions. You're the one that's blowing up at these, right? You're the one that can't seem to get it through your head that, hey, number
Mhm.
one, you don't have to be Master Sergeant Moser at home,
Yeah.
right? That's not who they are. That's not who your family wants to see,
No.
right? You are now dad, you are husband, you are John. Well, I don't know how to do those things.
Yeah.
So, how do I get rid of, and I don't need to get rid of Master Sergeant Moser. I just need to learn how to incorporate it here at home without the military side of it, right? Keep the discipline, keep the communication, but you got to start using different words, right?
Yeah.
You can't come to your 12-year-old son and be like, "Listen, you moron, you can't be doing," right? Like it doesn't work like
Yeah.
that, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm
I
proud of you
think,
for working on it. And you've only been out, like you said, a year and a half.
yeah,
You've
and a
only been
lot of
out a
it,
year and a half.
and yeah, yeah, man, it's been a year and a half, and it's also been, I think back to kind of what led me to so much of where I'm at today. And a lot of it had to do with my time spent out in Montana, that last year and a half out in the army. Montana was, dude, that was probably the roughest year and a half stretch of my life when I think back on it.
Yep.
Um, and it's, I have, you know, I've talked about it a little bit with some people that understand kind of what all happened out there, but there was a lot of things, and I think this is a good platform to talk about it too. Was 3 weeks. I remember 3 weeks into me moving out there, there was an incident where right across the road from the apartment I was living in, there was a guy. Um, very strung out on drugs, and he had drug his wife out of the house by her hair and was beating her up in her front yard. I ran down. First instinct, I ran down. I ripped this
Yeah.
dude off of her.
Right.
Another neighbor came down, got the girl out of there, and then all of a sudden, this guy's got a loaded 9 mil on the back of my head. And it's one of those things where everything in life flashes right before your eyes because you don't know what he's going to do. He's got all the power in the world. One trigger, and this conversation's not happening. Or one pull of the
What'd you do?
trigger. Um, he walked me to the end of his driveway with a loaded 9 mil on the back of my head, and then I don't know. He must have snapped out of it because he dropped his pistol, and then I turned around and socked him, and we got into a fist fight. Cops showed up, arrested him. You know, so there was the struggle of that. There was the struggle of 20 going into 2023, man. A lot of death that year that I had to go through. January, February, March, man, I lost three buddies to suicide. One per month. April comes around, and an aunt of mine, she passes away 3 days after my birthday. The following month, going into May, our grandmother here in Ohio, she passed away. Going into the month of June, about 10 days after our grandma passed, our grandfather on the other side of the family had passed away. Um, and I was in Montana, kind of just feeling alone. I didn't know what to do. I didn't
Right.
really have anybody out there to turn to, and that's where that was that time of my life where the heavy drinking really, really started. It was really bad. There's a good stretch of 2023 I don't remember much of because of, you know, that's what happens when you abuse your body with so much alcohol.
Yep.
I was going to work drunk. It was embarrassing to look back on. Um, and that was the time where I got drunk one night, and I had that pistol, man. It was loaded. I had it on the side of my head, you know, and then I don't know what really snapped me out of it other than I just remember kind of how weak I felt in that moment. And I slowly, I set that gun down, and I turn around and my dog's just sitting there staring at me. And, I just kind of broke down from that. It was one of the most selfish things I've ever done.
Yeah.
And it's as tough as it is to talk about on an open platform, it's also necessary. June
It
June's
is.
a June's a month for men's mental health, but sometimes I get tired of all these months being dedicated to certain things. I just, these things just need to be dedicated on a day-to-day basis without worry about what month, day, or year it is.
I agree.
Um,
I
you
agree.
know,
Well, I'm glad you put the pistol down, and I can tell you wholeheartedly that I remember that feeling as well.
yeah.
You feel alone. Mine was in my truck at the bar. I was going to
Hmm.
give up 8 years of sobriety, and I was going to buy a bottle of Jack. I was going to chug that bottle of Jack, and was going to end it. And I struggled, even seeing beyond the end of the truck, if that makes sense. I only saw inside the truck right then and there, right? And not thinking about my daughters and my son, and um, how it was only my pain and I was going to create more pain by doing this. And
Yeah.
then something happened, like you said. I just heard a voice that said, "What the hell are you doing? This has never been you. You've never quit like this before. Why would you do it now?" And I put it down and I called my AA buddy and I said, Are you going to be at the 7 o'clock tonight?" And he said, "Yep." I said, "I'm headed there now because I'm I'm messed up, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of you, man, for putting that down. Do you still drink?"
I do. You know what? I think that's the one of the biggest things
Yep.
I wanted to bring up to everybody too is, do I still drink? Yes. I'm not completely. I'm not 100% sober. I've been clean off of drugs. It's going on over a year now.
Good for
Um,
you. Good for you.
Alcohol, heavy liquor is pretty much, with unless it's the occasional shot with a group of friends at the bar, I'm not touching it. Um, I will say, gone are the days of drinking alone. I won't do that anymore. I'm not going to buy a 6 pack, a 12 pack, and come home and just sit in my room and drink beer. Like
Good for you.
it's not going to happen. But
It's
I'd
not
still like to.
healthy.
No,
It's not
it's
healthy.
no, because it's a depressant, man. And when you're
Yeah.
alone and you ain't got any good company around, like it's not good for anything at all.
No,
And
no.
but yeah, gone are the days of really getting behind the wheel. After drinking a lot too, it's I do still like to have beers with the buddies every now and again. And I don't think there's anything, one of my favorite things is having a blue moon with a good steak dinner. Um,
You know,
but
I I picked up non-alcoholic beer a couple years ago. And I'll tell you just how bad I am. I started chugging 12 packs of NA beer, right? And then my wife
yeah,
had to call me up on it and say, "Hey, I think you're fucking substituting something."
yeah,
And now, like you, I understand that it is a refreshment, right? It is not a coping tool, right?
yes,
So if
exactly.
I'm cutting the grass and I want to have a beer, I can have an NA beer,
Hmm.
right? I don't drink 12 of them anymore.
Right.
It's two or three with the wife on the porch, in the garage with the guys. Like we just spent Saturday night out at Eldora, and we got home at like 10 o'clock to the house. We sat up till 2 o'clock in the morning. Two guys had their beers, and I had one of mine, two, three of mine. And it was all cool, right?
Yeah.
Nobody got loud and obnoxious. Nobody got stupid running through a fire. It was just
Mhm.
chill, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to be 54 years old this year. I don't need to be running around like I'm 25 drunk on 151 and Jack Daniels, right? We don't need to be doing that
Yeah.
kind of stuff no more, right? I think it's all a learning process, right? It's all
It
what
is.
can I
Yeah.
do, and you've done it, and congratulations to you, because a lot of us, I don't know that I could go back to having real alcohol. I just don't, right? I
Hey,
don't
and
I
and
don't want to risk it.
yeah. No, and it's very understandable. And make no mistake, I would say a long-term goal of mine is to eventually go. I think I will be sober, within a few more years. Um, but at the same, like I said, I like being in that social environment too. It's not necessarily. I'm not going to go clubbing or anything like that. But if I'm
No,
just if I'm with a few good friends and their wives, girlfriends, whatever, and we're sitting around a bonfire, or hey, they want to go to the little dive bar here in Carrollton and just hang out and get some food and have a couple drinks. Like, yeah, I'm all for it. Because I'm with good people, man. It's
right. I think
so.
what you realized is you don't have to have the alcohol to have a good time.
Yeah, no, I don't. And
You
a
know,
lot of times now when those cravings hit, and I'm alone and I'm craving that alcohol or and let's be honest, man, drug cravings are, they still linger too.
I get it.
But it's
I get
it's
it.
okay when I feel that, all right, whatever I'm doing needs to stop and I got to find something new to do to
Yep.
restart the thinking process.
You played that tape all the way through,
Yeah.
right? You remember what that first taste or that first hit or that first drink,
Mhm.
that rush, right? And you're constantly chasing that, and it's never going to be there again, right? If you're
Yeah.
struggling with staying sober or not drinking or not using, understand that you will never ever achieve that first high or that first sensation again.
Yeah.
You will chase it. You will chase it, and you will make
Yeah.
yourself angry and
Yeah.
frustrated because you didn't get to that feeling.
Yeah, and
And
then
you're
and then that anger and frustration feeling, like I can speak from my past with drugs is, now I'm not getting the high I want, so I'm gonna do more until I get to where I want to be, and
yeah.
then that time now you want to do more because you want to keep, and then eventually it's not fun anymore. Now it's
Mm-mm.
now all that fun you used to have with your buddies or whatever it might have been, and you got away from that. Now it's paranoia. Now you're hiding behind closed doors, lying to everybody, telling them you're fine, but meanwhile you're, you know, and what's so scary too was to think back on, the amount of deaths you hear about now from overdosing, from fentanyl, and it's like,
Right.
there was that point in time where I looked back and I remember talking to a couple other buddies that, they cleaned up too, and it's great every time I see it, man, because like,
You
you know,
celebrate it. You
yeah,
celebrate it.
yeah, and it's like you guys, we realize like, 90% of the time you don't even know what you're getting. You might be getting heroin or meth, and it could all be laced with fentanyl. You don't know, and it's like when it became such a problem, and it's like this isn't. I'm gonna die if I keep going down this path.
Yeah.
That's the harsh reality of it. Is I am not going to live a long life, and I tell you one thing, I'm not built for prison, man. So if I like I'm short and I get told I'm handsome every now and then too. So I try to I want to avoid prison. But all jokes aside, like anybody that struggles with drugs, just you're not a bad person. You just
No,
let's
you no.
I've
What?
said it before and I'll say it now. Hit me up and let's go do something.
Yeah.
Let's go out fishing. Let's go out on a four-wheeler. Take the four-wheelers out. Do
Let.
something
Yep.
that gets your mind freed up. That's also fun. It's not an easy path to getting off of that crap, but man, is
It's
it
not.
worth it?
I would
It is
challenge
so worth it.
everyone. I would challenge everyone to look at what they did before the alcohol and drugs took over and be honest with yourself about what you enjoyed doing and where you enjoyed doing it, right? Like
Yeah,
if you were if race cars, right? Race cars, motorcycles, airplanes, that has just been my life, right?
yeah, dude, I
And
love me some NASCAR, man.
bro, you got to sign up. You got to come with us. We're going to be over at where are we going to be? We'll talk about that in a minute. But
Yeah, sounds good.
uh you have to you have to challenge yourself. You have to go force yourself to be uncomfortable to make yourself be comfortable again. Right? You
Yes.
have to force yourself to understand that I can make it through this situation without drugs, without alcohol. I I can and watch me do it, right? Prove it to yourself. You're not proving it to anybody else. I don't give a shit what you say. You're not doing anything in life for anybody else. You need to do it for yourself. The
Yeah.
other
It's
stuff will happen.
it is 100% okay to be selfish.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think you have to be, right? Especially when it comes to that, right? Because you're being selfish when you're using, right? Because you don't want to face what you fear. And
Hmm.
what I was fearing was being myself. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm saying?
That makes perfect sense, man.
I was afraid to be myself because the male role models that I had in my life were baby boomers. They were tough bastards.
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
don't talk about feelings. You don't cry. Broken arm, rub your dirt on it. Let's go. Right? Just keep going. And
Hmm.
I didn't understand it, right? I didn't understand what they meant and how they meant to do it because there were no I never got taught how to process emotions, right? I never got taught what emotions were. And man, I was an asshole, bro. Like no shit. I asshole, asshole, asshole. And I'm
Oh
still
man,
an
I was
asshole at
yeah.
times.
I was an absolute punk my first couple years in the military, man. Like I just, and I'm glad you bring that up too, man, because how many times I've heard that said to me, said to others, and it's like, listen, man, look at the telling somebody to toughen up, man up, or you're weak for seeking help, you're weak for like, no, none of that's true at all. There's a
That's
reason
hard
why.
shit.
There's a reason why, you know, the suicide numbers are where they're at. Not just for vets and first responders, but for for men all over the world.
Humanity. Humanity.
Humanity, not just men, but humanity in general is. I don't know. I think you know as there's a lot of good and bad with that comes with social media, and I think that's really influenced a lot of bad mental health in this on
I
this
would
planet
agree.
too.
I would
Um,
agree.
because
I would agree.
now you can't so many people struggle with deciphering between reality and what's real and what isn't, and
Mm-hmm.
it's
This
so
this has gone away. This intimate, personal
yes,
level of
conversation's gone away,
conversation.
healthy
Yeah,
debating has gone away, the politics in this country has divided so much, and yeah, and it just does not make sense. I don't know, man. Like I've got so many good buddies of mine that vote for a different party than what I vote for. I don't, it's never made sense to me. But all of that aside, um, it's just healthy conversation. You get away from that, then problems are gonna arise.
yeah,
And
I
then and,
agree.
and now you have no experience with how to talk through things, and these problems are going to keep going, and now you're in panic mode because you're figuring out how to deal with it.
Right, right,
You
and a
feel
lot
like
of it is.
nobody's, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's just, I think it's just the domino effect of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, conversation, not having conversation. Now it's leading to, well, nobody cares about me, or nobody wants to listen to what I'm going through. And that
Right.
leads to a downhill spiral, and could
A,
lead to
a lot of
could,
it.
yeah,
A lot of it for me was I didn't know what words to use. Does that
yes.
you know what I mean? Like I'm used to First Sergeant Moser. I got to get in that mode, right?
Hmm.
And and people don't react to that outside of the military, right? This isn't a life or death situation, jackass, right? And I thought everything was a life or death emergency, and things were gonna go terribly wrong if they weren't done right away. And ask my kids. Ask my kids when I used to say tell them to do stuff. If they didn't move in like 0.3 seconds, I I'm sorry. Did you not hear what I just said? Like
Yeah.
move. And you know it's not that critical, bro. It's really not, right?
Yep.
And I think coming out, that's what I dealt with. Number one is the things I thought were hypercritical are really not hypercritical at
Right.
all. And
It's it's
under
it's nice. Yeah, like I agree with all that, man. It's been really nice. It's still not fully there, but understanding that one, you know, I think something one of my bigger struggles with transitioning from military to civilian world is wanting to fit in or feel normal again. And I think the something that's helped this is it hasn't happened overnight. It's taken a long time of
No,
thinking about it, but
no.
and it still hasn't fully happened. But what helps is me coming to terms with myself that I don't need to fit in and forget. I'll tell myself this, dude, forget about being normal because it's not happening. You
Nope. What is
and
normal? What's
what is
normal?
normal? I think normal is whatever you make of it, you know? I think,
This
but
is
I
my
also,
normal,
yeah,
right?
this is right here, right now, this conversation, me, what you see is what you get, what you hear is what you
Yeah.
get. That's me. That's my normal. But, you know, I think normal in general is boring. I don't, you know, I'm not a, I don't want to just go to work, clock in, clock out every day, and that be my life. You know, I want to go to work and bust my ass and um, make the most of it. Learn, you know, learn on the job, talk to these guys, get to know them, and then when it's my time off, all right, let's go home. Let's hang with the dog. Let's go for a walk, or hey, let's stop by a buddy's house. I haven't seen him in a couple months. See how he's doing, or stop
Yeah.
by. See the aunts and uncles, see the little cousins, man. I love my role as being the big cousin, you know.
Are they all
So
little? Are you the oldest?
no, 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 dude. I have a huge freaking family on well,
Do
both
you?
sides. Yeah, both sides. My mom's side of the family, they're all up in New York, and I've got a that's the Italian side of the family, so it's very large and
Very
I
loud.
yeah, very loud. And man, are they are a riot. Absolutely awesome. And but yeah, a lot of the cousins my age or older, they've all got their own little kids now, and those little kids, man, when I was stationed at Fort Drum, I just had the best time ever when I'd get to see them because they thought I was like one of the coolest dudes ever. They see this, like nobody up there's got any tattoos, and here comes Joe walking in the door. You know, he's got a full sleeve and almost a half sleeve on the other arm, and this oh cousin Joe the army guy. You know, that's what they'd call me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and then here in Ohio, you know, I didn't get to spend as much time with some of those little cousins because I wasn't really stationed. You know, I had the privilege of being stationed in New York
Right.
only little over an hour north of all that family. So I got to see them a lot. Now, the Ohio family, I wasn't ever super, super close to them, like stationed wise. So
Right.
it's like, you know, now I think over this year of me being home and even a lot of the times on leave, and I'd come home to visit, those would be my chances to get involved in their lives and be there for birthday party, just be there for anything I can, man. So,
Yeah. It's you had mentioned earlier how you moved over here with essentially nothing and nobody, and you just mentioned that you didn't have a real close relationship with the Ohio family, and then you ran into Tom on Facebook. Um, do you remember what your mindset was back then when you came over here? Were you searching for something? Were you struggling? Were you still having, the struggles of, man, I don't know if this is going to be worth it? Or have you always kind of been, I'm just going to go and make the best of it?
um, yeah, I think there was definitely moving home was definitely a wing it kind of thing, and I do have yeah, I do have a good support back here. You know, the family and I, we've always got along pretty good. It's
Sure.
just I didn't get to spend as much time with them while I was away as I
Did you
did with
find
the
it
New York
was
family.
did you
But
find it was hard to reintegrate?
yeah, it was tough to come back here and reintegrate. I mean, it's Carrollton's a small town, so
Mm-hmm.
people will do a lot of this. You know, there's a lot of chatter. You know, I learned things. I learned stories that were, you know, stories about me that I never knew happened. So,
Right, right,
um,
right.
I would always get a good kick out of that because it's like, man, I lived away for nine years. Like,
Yep.
don't remember that happening.
Nope.
but
Don't remember none of that. Don't remember
but
none of that. Well, hey
But
man,
yeah,
I
it was different for sure though, moving home. It was
it's an adjustment because
yeah, big
while things
adjustment.
might look the same, it seems a lot smaller. If
Yeah.
right, like you've been elsewhere, you've been overseas, you've taken that long plane ride, and now you've come back to where you essentially Well, for me, I moved 20 miles from where I grew up, right?
Right.
And my cousin was my neighbor for a little bit, um, and it just didn't feel right. Right? I don't feel like this is me. This isn't me. Something's not right. I got to move. So we moved,
Hmm.
4 or 5 miles down the road, and got in a real house, and I just kept grinding, kept grinding, kept grinding, and then you're retired. I'm retired now, and it came earlier than I expected, and I found myself being like, I got to do something. I got to do
Yeah.
something. And the reality is I had been doing something for 35 years
Yeah.
for someone else, and now I can do for me, right? Without that responsibility of getting up 4:30 in the morning and working 10 hours or 12 hours a day. I can provide what I want to provide
Right.
now. It's a hard adjustment, man. So if you're listening and you're struggling, don't, know that you're not alone, right? Like, what you see in public is not always the reality of what's happening
Yeah.
behind the scenes, right? This morning I had a catastrophe. Well, that's a pun intended, with the litter box. You go to pick up the litter box to clean it and move it, and the bottom of it falls out, and now you got cat turds and cat urine everywhere, and you're like, I'm 30 minutes from getting on the air, and this is what I got to do right now,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely,
It
man.
those are the realities of life, man. You saw me right after I sat down. What did I do? I spilled the coffee, right? You can sit here and you can be upset about the things that don't go immediately as planned, or you can accept it and deal with it
And make the
and
most out
move
of it.
on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I totally forgot to send you the link this morning, right? So I send you the link, and then you send it to the family, and I'm like, no, wrong link.
Oh, yeah.
So, right? But I can't tell you that because I'm live on the air and things are popping up and everything. Like, I sent
Right.
him the wrong one.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, I think
It's.
I wanted to answer the rest of your question about
Oh, I'm
when I
sorry.
messaged. Oh, no, you're good, man. Back when I messaged Tom, though, like, yeah, I was 100% wanting to. We got a dog back there. I 100% wanted to be get back involved with the veteran community, and because it's where I feel at home.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
like we speak so many. I can just connect with you guys way better. And we speak the same language.
Right.
Because man, I've had to learn that not all of my civilian buddies respond to the jokes the same way that the vet community does, and
No, not
um,
at all.
so
Not at
you
all.
know,
Um, we had three disabled vets. Actually, it was four. Albert come up. Albert's 100%, and then there was Samson and myself and Dave this weekend. And
yeah, I just got my
it's
100 a couple months ago.
oh, congratulations, man! Congratulations.
Thank you.
There's there's something to be said about putting three disabled vets in a truck together for a 4 hour road trip, man. It's
Oh man,
it's gonna get rough. It's gonna get rough.
that
You know.
4 hour car ride probably felt like a bullet train.
Oh, it was it, it
You're
was
there in no time.
it was something about, no, we call it truck time, right? We call it truck time. The radio goes off, and we just start talking and telling stories, and we're so self-deprecating with our humor, right? We're so like,
Yeah,
Dave's had so much go on in the last couple years. He lost a couple toes, and that changed the balance of his foot. So now with his diabetes, he actually broke his foot because his bones are brittle, and he's in a walking boot for the next year, and he shakes from tremors, right? So it's just all these jokes. And Samson actually went with us to the motocross event back in March and tore his ACL. So, as a little, hey man, come enjoy yourself this time, you're not going to get hurt, we took him out to Eldora this weekend, and he's on crutches, and he's got these calluses on his hand that are this big, right? And he's like 260, and he's just like, I'm a fat ass. And hey, Samson does all his own stunts, and look, check him out, right? And I mean, just it was just a great time. So I'll challenge
yeah,
all you guys. You know what? If you think you're having a good time sitting at home, um, loading up on the bottle, or chasing the dragon, or the drip drip, or smoking your whatever, I don't care. I'll I'll challenge you to come out and spend some time with us. Spend some time with some veterans. We're going to do a coffee and conversation this Thursday. I'll invite you to it. I don't want to put it on here because I can't afford having, 100 people show up. But I'll put it out there for you, and hopefully you can come hang out with us Thursday morning. I'd love to have some conversations, some one-on-one time without the cameras present, and we're going to just get to know the community of veterans and invite them out and just have those conversations. And, if we can fix something or help you understand something a little better, then great. I hope we do. Because that's what it's really about, guys. It's about getting out and letting people know that, hey, you can get through this, right? Yes, it is tough. Yes, it is hard. But look, I did it. And so did this guy. And so did this guy. And this is how we do it. This is how we did it. Man, I'm proud of you. I really am. You had no idea about Tuesday Talk or me or doing an interview with me, and you sat here the whole hour and 15 minutes with family on and the whole 9 yards. And I want, thank you for doing that. I know that you inspired somebody today. We didn't do a lot with the comments. We got some people on there: Celia Thompson, Ulyssia Franklin, Dre Beck, my good old senior chief.
Franklin's down there. Yeah, her and I were stationed at Fort Stewart together. She's a badass, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We got a Urban Centurion. You are not alone. Shannon McRobbie. So much love for you, Joe. Brett McElfresh. Great job, Joe. Proud of you. UA strong. Not sure what UA is, but
it's Union. He's Brett's he's a vet too. He's our business manager for our local 94, the local I'm out of. So,
well, hey, that ought to tell you right. Yeah. That ought to tell you right there that you're cared for, right? People love and they want to hear your story and they want to be there for you. So, I want to tell you thank you. Save 22 thanks you. I hope you come get involved with some of our stuff. Stay up to date on our Facebook page. Keep in touch with me, Tom, all the guys, and come and just say hi. Right? Come just say hi, come hang out, bring your brothers, bring your buddies. And I can't wait to meet your dog when you get him. So
yeah. He's he'll be a little bit more involved now that we got him kind of at a place where he's a little bit more mellowed out and not as anxious. So
right.
Yeah, he's a sweet dog, man. So
he's not my little 9-pound Shih Tzu that I can just hold like this everywhere I go, right?
Nope. He's just a hound dog that just big old baby wants his ears scratched, man. Scratch his ears, tell him he's a good boy, and you got the happiest dog on the planet.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Joe, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your time. Much love, my friend. Much love. I got to get to some updates for Save 22.
Go for it, brother. Thank you for having me on, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for coming around. I hope you stick around and listen to some more. Hey, so that was Joe. Man, what a story. Really love having him. Great to finally get to talk to him a little bit about his stuff. But we got to give some quick updates on where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing. Like I said, we had a busy weekend this past weekend, and we were down at the car show in Myrtle Beach. I was hoping Albert might be back to talk about that, or John and Chuck might be able to talk about that, but they're not on today, taking care of their stuff. We had the Jeebus Poker Run down in Athens. I think it was the 4th year for them. So much love to those down there who keep putting that on in memory of Craig. An absolute great group of people down there. What else can we talk about? We talked about Eldora real quick, man. What a huge shout out to Carson Brown Motorsports. What an incredible organization and a great family that they are, with Carson and Brad, and even Cheyenne helping out over there. She's really killing it. We got to do some commercial time. We got to film some stuff, some interviews. Those will be coming out later. JR actually just texted me while we were live here, so I have to go look at that. So be on the lookout, man. There's going to be some Save 22 Motorsports commercials coming out. It's going to be pretty awesome. Save 22 Motorsports will be with Lex June NHRA Top Fuel Team in June at Norwalk, 27-28 June at Norwalk at Summit Motorsports Park. So please, if you are interested in going, email the show right there, Tuesday Talk at save22.vet with the keyword nitro. Tell me you want to go smell some nitro, feel some nitro. Nitromethane going to be burning hard at Norwalk, guys. We are going to be up close and personal with the Lex June Top Fuel team. Him and Gerda are absolutely amazing. They guarantee you the time of your life. You could have the opportunity to meet other drivers in the NHRA circuit. You would have hospitality provided by, I just had it, and we just, I think it's Big Fish Barbecue. Hold on one second. We're going to have to find this real quick. I had it and I lost it. This is an introduction that was made because of our partnership with Goat Locker Racing. And we are incredibly proud to have partnered with Goat Locker for their podcast, for their online racing. They are doing an incredible job supporting veterans who maybe are homebound or just can't seem to get out of their house very much. And they're providing sim rigs, full operational sim rigs for disabled veterans in Indiana right now. I do believe that they are traveling throughout the country. So make sure that you check them out. We'll put their link up right now and show you just who those guys are. So there's Goat Locker down there at the bottom. Make sure you go check out goatlockerracing.org. They made an introduction with Big Fish Barbecue, who's going to be partnering with Lex June for the Norwalk, Ohio event. It's June 26, 27, 28 with finals on the 29th. Now, Lex isn't guaranteed in the show, right? So my recommendation to you is to come out and spend some time with us on Friday and Saturday. That's when qualifying will be. We will be able to spend some really cool time. They have multiple classes racing. Typically, Top Fuel runs in the evening time because of the insane. It's just incredible. You got to come. You got to come. That's all I'm going to tell you. So make sure you hit us up. Tuesday Talk at safe22.vet. Keyword Nitro. I have about 4 to 5 passes left for each Friday, Saturday. Right now, Sunday is full. Even though Lex isn't coming, we've partnered with it, but we've already filled up for Sunday for the finals. So Friday and Saturdays when we got some time for you guys. Come on out, hang out with the team, get some hospitality, some food provided by Big Fish Barbecue. I'm excited for it. Thank you very much to them for partnering with Lex June and providing such an incredible opportunity for some veterans that weekend down at Norwalk. So that's where we are with that. I am going to be leaving. I'm out for a while. I'm taking a break. Going to be spending my 25th anniversary with my wife. And we are going to do it up. It is going to be exciting, fun. We spared no expense on this trip. So I hope she enjoys the Cracker Barrel. It's going to be pretty incredible. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Make sure you hit us up if you want to be on the show. If you know of a veteran struggling, please reach out and just ask them how they are doing. And let's just talk about it, right? Let's get through it. We will get through it together. I am living proof that you can get through it. Joe is living proof that you can get through it. Albert and everybody at Save 22 is proof that you can get through it. So, hey, come on out, hang out, have some fun, get some excitement back in your life and realize that you yourself are worth it, right? So that's about all I got right now, guys. We have been on for a little longer today because of Joe, but I'm happy to have shared that time with Joe. Look for us on June 24th. That'll be the next scheduled show. We will have some things to talk about. That'll be just before the Norwalk event. So we should have some plans in place, and hopefully we'll have about a dozen veterans every day over there getting to share in some NHRA Top Fuel drag racing. Goat Locker is looking to partner with Save 22 at some other events. We are going to be talking with them in the next couple weeks. Look for that on their website, our website. Make sure you check them out as well. They are racing every night online, live. Check them out at Goat Locker on Facebook and all your other socials. Man, what else do I got? Oh, you know what? I do have to give a couple thank yous. So if you've made it this long, I got to give a couple thank yous out. Thank you to the people that are still watching. And I have a letter here that I received over the weekend from the Corfit family. Felicia Thurman reached out about a month and a half ago, and she is a friend of Laura Schaefer, who is Alex's mom, Moto's mom. You all remember Moto. Moto took his life on February 24th this year. And Laura has been a staunch advocate for suicide awareness, men's mental health, military and veteran first responder mental health. And Felicia is a friend. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. I didn't have time to hit the mute button. Many apologies. Felicia says, "We are stronger together. Thank you for all you do. The Corfit family with a check for $400. Thank you. Thank you very much to the Corfit family and Felicia Thurman for all that you have done for us at Save 22. That $400 will go directly to the motorsports program, and it will be utilized to directly support veterans at our diversion therapy program. So thank you very much. I also have a donation that came in over the weekend that I'd like to just read to you real quick. As soon as I pull it up. Where did it go? Here we go. Right here. This is a former major. Salutes all that you do. We saw you on Tuesday Talk. So I just want to say thank you, Major. Your donation is greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, Jackie. Thank you very much. It again will go directly to the veterans. Thank you for mentioning Tuesday Talk. I know the signs and the followers and the likes and everything just isn't there, but that's okay, right? Because we're about getting that just one more. Where are we? Oh, June 14th. Our guys are going to be in Atlantic City for the music festival over there. So if you see the Save 22 truck, you're over in Atlantic City. Hey, Joe, tell your family over there in New York, go head down to Atlantic City and look for our guys. Follow us on all your socials, Save 22 veterans. Look for me on TikTok, Johnny Flyboy. I'll be doing a couple here and there with the motorsports program, maybe some little side note things. And in probably the next month or so, we should have some shorts out to where we can, highlight some of the shows and get some more exposure out there. So look for us across all your socials. Look for me. Look for Save 22. Look for us when we're out. Again, I'll be doing a little community event this Thursday. Having a little coffee and conversation with the guys. We'll talk about that when we come back on the next Tuesday Talk. Big thanks to the Hutton House down in Myrtle Beach area. Thank you to John and Chuck and Wags. Thanks for all that you have done supporting Save 22. And if you yourself are interested in assisting Save 22, maybe being a representative or having a Save 22 event, go ahead and that went away. Go ahead and email us at the bottom of the show here. You can get it from the website, save22.vet, or you can call the line at 1-833-I-SAVE-22. That's one way to get a hold of us. You can email us at info@save22.vet or email me here at the show, TuesdayTalk@save22.vet. That is all I have today, guys. We are almost out of time. Not really. I have all the time in the world. So no big deal. No big deal. We're going to go with a little bit of, no, I'm not. We're going to try this closing thing real quick. Again, big thanks to Josh and the Mindful Vet for working out our animations today, our music, our things like that. We got able to do it. So I'm going to head out. This is all you're going to get. We will talk at you later. Have a great day. Oh, no. Oh, it's not working. No, I did it wrong. Where is it? There it is. All right, here we go. See ya.